Rwby Volume 4 Finale, No Safe Haven. Now, we've been waiting for this, of course, over 12 weeks. We've had, of course, our World of Remnant episodes in between. This is sadly the finale, as always. It sucks that it's the finale, but it's always awesome to see the finale and, you know, wonder where we're going to be headed towards in the next volume, which, fortunately, and I mentioned this last time, but for some of you who may not have seen any of my other reviews, we are getting Volume 5 in the fall, which I'm really excited for. I know a lot of people don't actually know that. I even read some comments after I was watching the episode on Rooster Teeth. A lot of people were like, you know, man, I can't wait till we get Volume 5, and people were wondering when it was happening. We don't have to wait this long. I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing where, you know, it's not like the full year span like we have had before. So I'm hoping that that's something that just happens where we get, you know, basically 2 volumes a year now. That would be absolutely phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to however it ends up working out, but more Rwby is more good. That's the best way to put it. But we're getting Volume 5 in the fall. We're also getting Rwby Chibi Season 2 in May, I believe. So I'm excited for that. Of course, for anyone who's looking for entertainment in between now and May, we also have the Rwby manga, which unfortunately I was reviewing that, but I had to stop because I kind of did it illegally. So I'd have to buy all the Shonen Jump to actually get each chapter, and it's not worth it at this point. So sadly, I haven't been able to keep up with that since I think since chapter 11 or 12. So that's out there. If you already get Shonen Jump, that's in there. We also have, of course, the Rwby Grim Eclipse game, which is really good. I recently played that. I was going to do a series on it, but I have to figure out some weird stuff because the game was insanely choppy. After I recorded it, it looked like it was running fine, and then it was horrible. So let me know if you guys got any tips for that, because I would love to start doing that now that we are out of Volume 5. I planned on actually doing that and having it up by the time I was doing this review, but because it just wasn't working, I just didn't have the time to do it. I had other stuff, so I wasn't able to really sort through that problem. I had like my one chance to film an episode, and then it came out bad. So sadly, that's not up already, but if you guys have any hints for how I should fix that, please let me know. And if you're interested in general, let me know, because that'll kind of make me work harder to fix it, because there are a bunch of other games that I want to do as well. So kind of up to you guys. But to get to the episode, I enjoyed it. Of course, we start off really crazy with this insane Grim that I thought it was going to be simple. Like, I knew it was insanely dangerous and stuff, but I was like, okay, it's basically half man, half Grim, half horse. And I thought, in itself, old Grim, insanely powerful. It doesn't have to have any sort of extra special abilities. It could just run really fast and charge them. That's dangerous enough. And then we see them go through the fight, and this thing is like Stretch Armstrong, but devil version, and it's flinging them around and it's trying to hit them, and they get a nice system going where Jean tells them like, hey, run in circles, and then it kind of figures that out, and it basically does a twister move and just spins around and knocks everybody out, which I thought was a cool moment, but I was like, whoa, that kind of freaked me out a little. I thought it was just, you know, stretching, and it was pretty cool. I liked that moment, and it was just a very, very intense battle sequence, and I loved everything they did with it. We had Ren using his semblance to protect both Jean and Crow so that they could escape for a minute. We got to see a totally new weapon style for Jean, where he actually sheathes his blade, and it turns into like an even bigger weapon. Like, the actual sheath itself is a bladed weapon now, which I thought was really, really cool. So of course, slower weapon but stronger weapon, so it's that sort of balance type thing there. But I thought that was great. I was, of course, I think like everybody, I was like, alright, let's see what he pulls out here as far as semblance, but we still didn't get that. They're closer and closer every volume, but still nothing just yet. But that's what I was hoping for, and I thought Crow was going to say something, because he grabs him, and I was like, there's no reason for him to grab him. And I thought he was going to say something, like when they're at the campfire, he's like, I've been watching all you guys, and he looks to Jean, and he's like, all of you. And I thought he was going to grab his hand and say something, and then he just put his head down and was like, maybe he'll still get the message. And maybe that's what it was. Maybe that was meant to, you know, for us to think it was going to be a semblance, but it was just the addition to his weapon. But it was still really cool. I certainly loved that sequence. The whole fight was really awesome, and seeing, especially the moment like right before the ending with Ren, where he's just losing it and he keeps getting knocked down, and he gets up and Jean's telling him, he's like, knock it off, like, this is not gonna work. This plan is already difficult enough. This thing is so tough. and you're just going in over and over getting knocked down is not going to help us survive. So I love that moment, and they ultimately end up working together, and they take it down, and of course, Rin was the one to do it. They pin the hands down, and Nora has a super epic sequence where she does like the anime fall backwards, and then she, smashes it on the head, or specifically the horse body, and Rin chops the arms off, and he decapitates it, and it goes away. So I thought that was a really great action sequence. And then we get the characters getting picked up. They were basically right over. This is like one big hill. Boom. They had their destination. So fortunately, everything worked out fine. Everybody, including myself, a bit worried, but because you never know with this show. I figured that Crow wasn't gonna die, but I always got to be cautious with this one, especially lately. So it was good to see that they were so close, and they did end up making it, and everything was fine. And then we get a really good sequence where they're flying up in the air, and once again, much like seeing Jean use his semblance, a little bit closer to just officially having Nora and Ren as a couple, because Ren actually grabs Nora's hand and she scoots closer to him. So I love that moment. They play Boop once again, and I love that because that was something they've been doing for the past couple episodes. They played the instrumental version underneath, and this time it had a much bigger focus. It was like the overall music, it wasn't really subtle. It was like, this is Boop. It's just the instrumental. And then the words actually came in. So I guess it's just the, I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but when it's just the person singing, it's not a cappella, but you probably know what I'm talking about. I just can't think of the actual word. But they've probably been using that version the entire time, where it just starts really low and then it builds up to the point where we get the actual lines. And they still didn't play the whole thing. I was like, man, I've really wanted to hear it, because I love all the music pretty much, and Boop is really one of my favorites. It's probably in like, with all the remixes, I don't know, it might be like number 6, I guess, but it's still up there. And so I've been waiting every time they played it. I was like, I would love to hear this go on longer, just the instrumental. And then they got, words came, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear this. And then we still only got like 4 lines out of this song, so I have to look it up online to hear the full version of that. But I'm still looking forward to it, because I do like that song, and I'm excited to hear the new version of it, as well as Armed and Ready. Thought that was a really good song, and I don't know the name. I know it was in there. There were like 4 new songs that were introduced in this volume, and the one that I'm really excited to hear is the one that Weiss was forced to sing during that small concert. That's the one that I'm really looking forward to listening to. So excited for those songs. Looking forward to hearing the full version of the opening. This song is honestly, I think this song grew on me more than any other one. Like, this one and 2 are the ones where I was like, yeah, I'm okay with it when they first started. 2 I like, but this one like really grew on me. Like, I sing it now every time it comes on. And like, it's really, really grown on me. So I'm really excited to hear the full version of the opening from this volume. But we got some good stuff in this. It was mostly, after the fight sequence, it was a lot of the emotional stuff. Very good emotional moments. And we get to see all the girls and what they're doing and where they're headed. And it was really nice. It has me very excited. They skipped a surprising amount of time as well, because it started off where it's like, okay, so Ruby's writing this letter to Yang, and then we actually get to see Yang, and I'm like, okay, she's on a motorcycle. Alright, that's, she's about to start her journey. And then it's going through, and we see Weiss, and she gets on the ship, and we see Blake and Sun, and Blake looks at the White Fang symbol, and then she looks at the older symbol, which I thought was very cool that they actually showed that. And it went from this very nice and peaceful blue and white symbol, which honestly kind of made me think of like a polar bear, which all bears are technically vicious, but for some reason when I think polar bear, it's like the calmest of all bears that aren't pandas. So I was like, oh, that's a nice calming picture. It's just nice, it's blue and white. And then you go to the current one, and it's black and it's red, and it's like, it's supposed to be like blood, and of course the 3 slashes and stuff, and it's a snarling animal instead of just a picture of an animal. Because the picture of the old one, it was just like, it almost looked like a bear with his eyes closed. And I was like, that's almost comedic when you look at it compared to like the really vicious version that they have now. So I love that moment, and Sun's back there. We actually do get to see Ilya in this as well, and she goes to the 2 monks, and we see a quick sequence of them. But we get to see Yang quite a bit during this letter sequence, and like I said, it starts with her beginning her journey, and I was like, okay, she's starting her journey, she's gonna get there at some point. And then it's like, nope, she's also already off the boat, and she's already headed to Mistral. And I was like, oh, well, sweet, that's even better, because basically the first episode of the next volume, she'll already be at Mistral, or at least the second episode, she'll be right there. So I was very excited to see that. They just skipped a bunch of time. Like, she started her journey, she had the boat trip, she's off the boat, she took off. When I first saw it, I thought she was at Menagerie just because it was like an island seaside sort of thing. I was like, oh, that's where she went. That's interesting. That was dumb for me to think that, but I saw it and my brain is simple. But she, of course, is headed towards Mistral. And I love the sequence where she gets, she's traveled across the world and she had this ultimate decision. It's like, do you go find your mother or your sister? And she already chose to go see Rwby anyway. But she gets to this point and it's literally a fork in the road and it's like Mistral and bandits. And, she was really mad at Rwby, like, oh, I'm waiting again to figure all these things out with my mom, but you're my little sister, so sure. And she goes to Mistral. So I thought that was a nice little segment that they had, which is pretty cool. But I'm really excited for where they're headed. I wasn't too surprised with this. I was worried. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but it's still bad. And we get to the end of the letter, and it's like things are looking hopeful, and I was like, oh, that's about to change. I knew it was going to, but it didn't go the way I thought. And that's because the guy, it's the fancy dress dude. I don't bother to remember the villains' names because I hate all the villains. Not as written characters. Just I don't like the villains in this. They're not likable villains. They're just like I hate all of them outside of maybe Mercury because he's really funny. But they had the fancy dress guy, and as soon as they showed him, he's meeting with the headmaster at the academy, and he specifically mentioned Salem's name because at first it was like, okay, he's going to have some sort of secret deal where he eventually manipulates the headmaster or they kill the headmaster and take over. And it was just like, nope, Salem always said you were hospitable. And I was like, crap, that's worse than I thought. Like, he just said her name. They already worked together. He's already in on this whole situation. And I would assume that he's one of the people that was missing from the beginning of this volume where, they had their evil villainy table. And there, I think, either 2 or 3 chairs that were still empty, and I would assume the headmaster is one of the people. But my first guess during that moment, I thought it was going to actually be the really tough-looking guy because we saw him on the train, or at least at the train station that Oscar was at. And I was like, crap, they're going to show the headmaster, and it's actually going to be that really tough-looking guy, but it's just as bad. It's the exact same thing. It's not that guy. It's just another character who was missing, during that former scene. So it's still just as bad as I thought it was. It just wasn't the character that I thought it was going to be. So things are going to be difficult, and we will see how that plays out, especially now that Oscar has made it to Mistral, which was great. I was super happy that that was the ending sequence, that, at least one of the characters, because I'm like, we have Oscar going there and we have Yang. Both of them are very crucial to whatever the Mistral arc is going to be in the next volume. So I was really happy to see the after credit scene was actually Oscar going up to Crow. And that was just a nice sequence. And also, I didn't know this, but somebody put it in the comments that it was a nice little joke that the voice actors, they used the pipsqueak line because both those voice actors were from Full Metal Alchemist. And Crow, who was played by Vic, I can never pronounce his last name, so I won't, but you know what I'm talking about. He was, of course, the main character who's always called really short, so it was a nice little joke that they had him use the line for calling somebody else short when he says pipsqueak. So that I thought was really cool once I read that line. I was like, oh, I never would have known that because I just didn't know the other voice actor. So that I thought was nice once I read that. But it was really cool to see that he finally got there, and Crow was simple about it. He knew what was happening. It was like, it's good to see you. He gives him, his cane, and that was it. So we now have to wait until the fall to get Volume 5 and where we're headed. Overall, I do enjoy this season. I think this was probably my least favorite. So far, I'd probably say it was my least favorite simply due to the fact that it's very akin to the first volume, because this was definitely the build-up volume where it's like, this is what's happening right now, but here's seeds to everything that's about to happen in the next 2 volumes. So that's kind of where we are, because things have almost reset in the universe, because it's like, it's just so different. Literally the entire world is different. Like Mel is now different for them. So if Mel is different, the world is different. That's just the way it works. And of course, I still love this volume. They had some amazing sequences. Some of my favorite for sure within the series, but it was definitely a build-up series, and we didn't have too much stuff truly happen in this. It was mostly people deciding what they were going to do or just getting to certain locations, but still really good, and I cannot wait to see what they do in the next volume. I was surprised when the episode cut off and we had like three, I think it was almost like, it's a 5 minute song, so it was like 5 minutes worth of credits. That really shocked me. I was a little upset by that because I was like, okay, we're going to have the letter sequence and they're showing some other stuff, and I thought we were still going to have like, because by the time the credits go off, it's like 7 minutes left. I'm like, okay, there's still quite a bit of stuff to see. I thought this was just kind of the middle of the episode, then some other stuff would happen, and then it would end. And I was like, nope, 5 minute song, and then we got our ending credits scene. I was like, crap, I was looking forward to some more content, but still enjoyed the episode. Love the cliffhanger for it, of course, with Oscar getting there, and of course Yang's real close by, she's on a motorcycle. Also looking super cool with her new outfit, like actually seeing it in the show is way cooler than the art that they have for her, because I thought it was just a plain brown jacket and it has a lot more detail to it than that, and I absolutely loved it. Like, it's a really cool upgrade to the old version of her jacket, because the art version that we have, like the art concept of her new costume, almost was just a longer version of her old jacket. It's just a big duster, like that's what it was. But actually seeing it now, it's totally different. Like, there's a lot of different designs in it and stuff, and I was like, this is great. That's a phenomenal looking costume, and she looks super cool. Of course, she has her glasses and stuff, so I'm excited to see her in action in this next volume. I don't know where we're headed, but it should be really, really good. I know Blake is going to be going after the White Fang, so I'm really curious if she's going to meet up with the rest of the girls anytime soon in Volume 5, or if it's going to be like her and Sun for most of the next volume, but still looking forward to it. And of course, we had the opening this volume, and I mentioned this before, they didn't actually have the interaction between Blake and Adam, so that's something we have to look forward to in the next one. And Adam's no joke. After what he's done, he is one deadly man, so I don't know where that's headed, but it should be very, very intense. He's potentially the second person that could kill off a main character. Like, he's insanely deadly. He was almost there. He was very close to it, but he didn't get the chance last time. And I don't know. I don't think it would be Blake, but it might be somebody else that's not from Team Rwby. Adam could certainly be the one to do it, but looking forward to the next volume. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about this finale, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And of course, I want to know what you guys are looking forward to most in Volume 5. There's a lot of stuff happening. Is it just the reuniting of Team Rwby? Is that what you guys are most excited for? Maybe some of the pairings, just some of the storylines. Admittedly, Blake versus Adam is all I care about in life. Unless Raven's fighting somebody, Blake and Adam is #1 for me. I don't know what Raven's doing. She's kind of like an enigma at this point, so it's hard to theorize where she might pop in and out of. But Blake versus Adam is happening, and I want to see that again. I want to see a longer version of that. So that's like my #1 thing. That's all that matters to me right now. But looking forward to that. Very excited for Rwby Chibi Season 2 this summer. So that should be very interesting. Really curious if they're going to still be in school or if they're going to be out in the world. I don't know how you make this volume funny, because it was just sad a lot. It was a lot of tragic stuff, so maybe we'll just go back to school. It's simpler days, I don't know. But looking forward to everything that comes next. Like I said, if you guys are interested in seeing me do a Let's Play of Rwby Grim Eclipse, please let me know, because the little bit that I played was very sweet. I really enjoyed it. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, let me know, and I'll get focused on that. But otherwise, I just want to know what you guys are looking forward to for Volume 5. And like I said, want to know what you thought about this episode and this volume in general. So please comment below, let me know. And of course, thanks for watching.